exception handling, which helps us to graciously handle the errors which is happening in the Plsql programs. There are two types of errors which may occur when we write a program. The first type of error is called as a syntax error. The example which is displayed here is having three variables v1, v2 and result. v1 is assigned with 5, v2 is assigned with 1, and third result we are trying to assign value by dividing v1 divided by v2. But when we assign this value to the result, we are supposed to give colon equal to, but we are using equal to here. When we are using colon equal to, it's an assignment operator. When we use equal to, it's a comparison operator. Actually, this is not a condition. So this is a syntax error. When we try to run this particular program without doing anything, the compiler itself identify the error and say that there is an error in the program. So without fixing this particular syntax error, we cannot work with this particular program. This type of errors are called as syntax errors. These syntax errors will be fixed by the programmer. Then only the software will be released to the end users. But whenever end user is using the software, they are expected to give a certain type of input. When they violate the rule to give that input and give a wrong input, it may affect the performance of the system. By the wrong input, the system may get hanged or it may be stopped abruptly. So these type of runtime errors are called as exceptions. These exceptions can be handled within the program itself, which will help to not to stop the program abruptly. The system will not be stopped abruptly. The control will goes to the exception handling section, and in exception handling section, what all the instruction is written by the programmer, in that way the execution of the program will continue. Whenever we have any this type of exception, there are three types of exception may occur. One is within the SQL, second one within Plsql, or within the forms. Whatever may be the error, Oracle giving three options to this type of errors. The first one is all the errors are numbered. Second one, these errors are having a name. Third one, it's having a message. So these three things are very important for handling the exception. So before explaining how to handle this exception, let us see one example for the exception. So in the displayed program here, we have v1 number, v2 number, result number, three variables. v1 is assigned with 5, v2 is assigned with 0, and result colon equal to v1 divided by v2. dbms output dot put line, I want to print result. Syntax wise, this program will execute properly, but when I try to divide 5 by 0, it will give a arithmetic error, arithmetic exception. So the system will stop abruptly. This is called exception. This exception can be handled in a nice way using a section called exception. After writing all the program, after the last statement before the end, I am creating a section called exception. Exception section is nothing but a section for handling the exception which is happening within the program. So in this particular program, I am checking what type of error it is using when. When is like if condition. When 0 divide, then what I am doing is, if at all it is a 0 divide error, then what I am doing is, I am printing a message called we are in exception section, and I am changing the value of v2 to 1. Then I am dividing v1 divided by v2 and try to print the value. So now it will print the value 5 as the output. So here I am handling the exception. Even though I am trying to divide 5 by 0, it will create the exception, but exception was handled within the exception section, and I am printing the value 5 without abruptly stopping the program. This is the advantage of exception handling. For most of the exceptions which may come very often are named and numbered by Oracle. All these things are called as named exceptions. So here, whenever we don't know what type of exception may come, Oracle is giving another option called others. So when I don't know what type of exception may come, what I am going to do here is I am going to use others. exception when others then. dbms output dot put line, we are in exception section. v2 is equal to 1, dbms output dot put line v1 divided by v2. Whatever may be the error within the program, whether it is a zero divide or too many values or no record found, whatever may be the error, all these errors are handled with the same way using when others then. It will print that we are in exception section and it will change the value of v2, then it will try to divide v1 by v2 and display the output. Others can be used when we handle all other expected exceptions handled by us within the exceptions level, and if at all we are anticipating some other exception which we are not predicting, then that can be handled with the help of others, but others cannot be used in a general way. Another advantage of this exception handling section is you can check any number of exceptions within this exception section. I can say when zero divide, then I can handle it. Then when others, then, like that I can have multiple when sections for checking a particular type of exception and handling it. Here is the example for the same. Declare v1 number, v2 number, result number, v1 is equal to 5, v2 is equal to 1, result v1 divided by v2, and I am printing the value. The next one, select salary into v2 from test where name like A. If anybody's name is starting with A, then it will store that particular record value into v2 and it will store the salary of that particular person into v2, and I am going to print the value. For example, if so many people are having name starts with A, then it will try to store multiple values in v2. In that situation, I may get a error called too many rows. So when many people are having name starts with A, then it creates an exception called too many values. Okay, if at all there is no person by name starts with A, then it will return no data found. Then that exception will be created. When this v1 divided by v2, when I do, if the v2 value is 0, it may create zero divide error. So like that, different types of errors may occur, and different types of errors can be handled in the exception section of the same program. So in this one I am using zero divide, then I am using too many rows, and finally I am using others. Fine, there are few errors which may display a same message for a different situation. For example, whenever I am trying to insert a null value to a primary key, it will display that primary key violated. Whenever I am trying to insert a duplicate value to a primary key, it will display that primary key violated. So for two different situations, the same message is given. If we don't want to get the same message, we want to give a very clear message to the end user. If at all we want to name a particular exception by ourselves which is already named and numbered by Oracle, then we can use unnamed exception option. Oracle allows us to create our own exception name and our own message. The only thing is the number is already created by Oracle. We have to initialize our exception with that Oracle number. Once we do that, whenever that particular error happens, it will call our own exception and it will display our own message. For example, here in this program I am creating three exceptions: A exception, B exception, and C exception. Exception is a data type, exception data type, and A, B, C are the exceptions. And what I am doing is using pragma exception init, I am initializing all these exception variables with the numbers which is already created by Oracle. Within the program, what I am trying to do is insert into test child values 311. I am trying to insert a duplicate value. So whenever a duplicate value comes, it will automatically call the exception A, because it is assigned with -2291, because 2291 is an exception which try to identify when we give a wrong value to the test child. And when I'm trying to delete a particular record, it will display that particular value. So here we are deleting from test where id is equal to 2, the number 2292 will be created and that will be handled by B section. And similarly, whenever I am trying to insert a null value, now insert in a null value for a not null value, then -1400 error will be occurred and that will be handled by exception C. So here I am giving 3 exceptions with my own name and my own message. If I don't give this name and message for all these 3 type of error, it is going to display the same name and the same message but with a different number in the oracle. So this is called unnamed exceptions. When I'm writing application, I want to create some exception based on the application. The application based errors cannot be handled by Oracle system errors. So what Oracle allow us to do is we can create our own error number, our own error name and our own error message, and we can create exception error also. So in this displayed example, I am creating my own exception and I am identifying where the exception happened and I throw the exception, and that exception will be handled in the exception section. But instead of handling, what I am trying to do is I am creating the exception error and which will stop the program execution abruptly. Declare A exception. A is the exception variable and exception is the data type. V number colon equal to 60. Begin. If V value is greater than 50, then I want to tell that there is an exception in this particular program. For example, I am entering the marks of a student out of 50. So if at all I try to insert a value above 55, that is not at all possible. In that situation, I supposed to give a error. So I am throwing the error using a word called rise A. Rise A will creating the exception. Once this rise A comes, the control straight away comes to the exception section. The remaining output statement and all, it will not print. If at all V value is less than 50, then I will print that V value is and I will print the value. In exception handling section, instead of handling the exception using rise application error, I am creating the exception and I am stopping the program abruptly. When I want to give rise application error, here I can give my own error number and I own error message. -20,000 to -20,999 is the range of numbers I can use for creating the application oriented exceptions, and message can be anything. Here I am giving -20,001 as the error number and value is too high as a message to the end user. So this is the user defined exception. With this, exception handling section is over. Thank you.